I'm Jay with Oklahoma Ponds, and today I'm going to give you a walkthrough of some of the water features that we have on display at our display yard in Edmond. So I'm going to start with our 10 by 15 Artisan style ecosystem pond. That's a mouthful, but really what it means is that this type of project, we like to use larger machine placed boulders. It gives the pond a much more natural look, and the larger boulders are easy to walk onto and allows us a little bit more creativity with the pond when we're building it. So this particular pond is 15 feet long, 10 feet across, has our aquascape skimmer right over here where our pump is that circulates up to the top of our oversized biofilter right here. So from there, that's when the fun starts. We begin to select the rocks that we're going to use for our waterfall, and then in this particular one we have a 2-tier waterfall that creates plenty of oxygen for the fish, lots of planting areas, so we get to add a lot of marginals to the pond. So this pond is 2 feet deep, which is plenty deep enough for our Oklahoma winters. The fish just kind of go at the bottom. The pond runs year round. In the fall, we'll put a net over the pond for you. That helps just cut down on the wintertime maintenance, and then everything just runs all through the winter. In this particular pond, we've got our hardy water lilies, we've got graceful cattail, umbrella palm, obedient plant, iris, and water hyacinth are some of the main drivers that help keep this pond clean and clear. So when we're building a pond, we like to design it around what kind of aquatic plants are we going to be putting in the pond, because the aquatic plants are crucial to the health of the ecosystem. At the end of the nitrogen cycle, the plants are responsible for pulling out that nitrate and the phosphates out of the water, which helps to maintain clear, algae-free water. This pond is also my favorite for koi because it gives everybody enough room to grow to their full size, and with the oversized biofilter, we're able to maintain enough bacteria inside the pond to help take care of all that fish waste that koi like to put off. Okay, so here is our 8 by 10 ecosystem pond that we have on display next to our greenhouse. I'm going to give you kind of a walkthrough on this project, why some people choose this one over other projects, and why it might be the right pond for you. So this pond right here is about 2 feet deep. It's 8 by 10, and on this particular one that we have on display, instead of a custom rock-built waterfall, we've got the aquascape patio pond filter bowl, and that filter bowl is layered with different layers of filter media and bio balls. So that's where all the bacteria that's responsible for keeping the pond clean and healthy is going to colonize that. And the really cool thing is during the spring and summer you get to plant it up. Like right now we have some bloody dock, some water hyacinth, and water lettuce in there, and once those roots establish inside of that biofilter, it's going to be pulling those nitrates and phosphates out of the water, helping to keep the pond clean and clear. So this particular pond is 2 feet deep, just like most of our small backyard ponds are. It has the aquascape skimmer, which is right underneath that faux rock lid right there. And then we've got this one just completely packed full of all of our marginals and a Juan Visa water lily. So this pond is better for just a couple koi, few koi, but really does extremely well with a couple koi and a handful of like shabunchkin goldfish, the fancy tail goldfish. So that way we keep the bio load under control. It's still enough fish that it's easy to interact with and really grow some nice pets in here, but we don't have to have an oversized filtration system. This is our 10-foot pondless waterfall. This particular waterfall, we like to design around slightly larger boulders. So some of these boulders that we use in this design are 400 or 500 pounds. So a lot of times, if the access will allow it, we like to bring our small excavator in to help strap and set some of these boulders right in place. But one of the styles that we like to go for is we like to incorporate pooling areas inside of the streams. And that's where the water comes into a little pooling area and slows down and kind of swells out. The reason why I like that is it gives it a real natural look where the water is slowing down and speeding up, but also it gives us room for some of our aquatic plantings. Like right here, we have our arrowhead Sagittaria. We've got some water hyacinth that's growing in here. We've got some of our sweet flag and our bloody duck. All of these do great with this water running through its roots over and over, and it's just the best of both worlds. We get to have the water gardening side, the sight and sound of water, but not the responsibility of having fish or maintaining water quality and string algae. The other thing with these are, we have about a 200-gallon underground reservoir here. And we leave this exposed up here at the display yard just for demonstrations like this. But inside of here is our pump vault where our pump goes. And so as this water comes through, it hits these river pebbles and percolates down into that basin where the pump sends it back up to the top. So during a normal install, this is all disguised into the project, but we leave this one open just for the demonstration. So the way we install these with the pump vault, access to the pump is really easy. There's really not much that can go wrong with these systems. So here we have our 14-foot Artisan waterfall. And what makes it an Artisan, in our opinion, is the machine size boulders here. So most of these boulders are 600 to 800 pounds. So that means it requires enough space so we can get our equipment in to strap these boulders and set them exactly how we want. So one of the things that we look for when we get our rock delivery is we start to do a mental inventory of all the rocks that we have. We start looking for rocks that have natural concaves to them, where the water has clearly been eroding that boulder, and we want to use that same look in our water feature. That way it all makes sense and gives it that Artisan look to it. So this one right here, we've got a larger pump on it, so we're moving water a little bit faster, but this one splits off into different areas. So there's many different parts of this waterfall where the water's doing different things. Maybe it's meandering behind another boulder or through some plants, or maybe it's falling and creating more of that white water and more sound to the backyard. This waterfall here stretches back 14 feet of moving water, so the space that we need is about a 20 by 14 space to work comfortably and fill in that area. This system has, just like all of our other pondless waterfalls, has an underground basin where the water comes through and it percolates through these river pebbles here, falls into that basin, and then goes into our pump vault where the pump sends it back up to the top. So it's completely self-sustaining. All you have to do is just add some water to it. If you've got an irrigation system nearby, we could tap into that irrigation system and add an autofill. That way the responsibility and the maintenance just goes down even more. You don't have really anything to worry about at that point. And another thing that we like to do with almost all of our pondless waterfalls is leave space for plantings. And so in this pond right here, we've got enough areas where we can grow some marginal plants, some perennials, and even some tropicals. So all spring and summer long, this is a showstopper, fits into any landscape where it needs to be the centerpiece. All right, this pond is our 6-foot pondless waterfall, probably our most popular pondless waterfall that we install. This comes on a preformed 100-gallon basin that sits underground, is disguised by these river pebbles, so when the water comes in, they percolate through into the basin, and so our pump can return it back up to the top. And then from there, we get to just play with the next 6 feet of rocks and liner and create something beautiful. So you can tell our same style is pulling through to this one too, where we've got our weirs where our water is falling and making the sight and sound, and then it swells out into some larger pulling areas, which is perfect for growing aquatic plants inside the landscape. A lot of these get installed in front yard flower beds as entry points, or in the backyard right up next to the patio, so there's that subtle sight and sound of water, reading a book, having your morning coffee, or evening glass of wine. These are perfect for that. They're very adaptable, so they can fit inside of tight spaces where maybe they meander a little bit longer or they wrap around the side of the patio. So they're very customizable in that sense, and a great entry point into water features. 8x10 classic koi pond, probably one of the more common ones that we install, mostly because it fits in most backyards. So this one has a 3-foot long waterfall with an oversized biofilter, and that's very important in my opinion, even for these smaller ponds, to give that bacteria enough room to colonize so that we can maintain perfect water quality. We also have our aquascape skimmer over here that's hidden by that fake rock lid, and the water goes into that skimmer creates surface tension. So anytime leaves or debris falls on the surface of the pond, it gets swept into that skimmer where there's a nice little easy to maintain basket that gets emptied out. That way it stops the leaf litter and any other kind of blown in debris from settling in the bottom of your pond, which will later contribute to poor water quality. So this size pond is excellent for goldfish. Easily 8 to 10 goldfish can survive in this pond. It's 2 feet deep, so that is plenty deep enough for all fish to survive. Well, I should say all pond fish to survive the winter in these ponds. We have our underwater lighting system that's also comes standard with all of our projects that we quote, and it's excellent for growing marginal plants. So in this pond here, we've got our graceful cattail, we have some water canna, we've got our variegated sweet flag, taro, umbrella palm, and water hyacinth. So these ponds fit in most backyards. They're customizable. We can build and implement it around patios that are existing or pergolas, and it's just a great way to add a little bit more interest to your backyard, and the fish become your pets.